Hello, everybody. Yes, I am committing the faux pas of filming a screen with another screen, but you all just have to live with that. Uh, Important note to get out of the way first. The look of this site may change a little. It's not going to change a lot. Certain words, certain things may look different when this site is finally published. But overall, it will look the same. But if things look different than how they look in this tutorial, don't worry, that's all right. So, as you can see, this is the landing page. This is where you'll go when you begin using progressions. You click begin your story, then it'll take you to a sign-in page where you can sign in with Google, or you can just put in your username and password. That I don't really feel I need to show y'all, because that works pretty much like it works in all the other websites you've seen. I am already open in my account because I'm working on this in Base 44, an AI tool that I use to vibe code this thing. As you see, when you click here, you can log out if you want, or you can go to your profile settings. You can edit your username and your profile picture and nothing else, because the profiles in this thing are boring. If you ever want to return to the dashboard, you simply click on dashboard. It doesn't light up or darken up like the other buttons do, but it is a button. It will take you to the dashboard. You can click here to go to the tutorial page. It has here a document where I explain the progressions outlining system, how it was born, the philosophy of it, so to speak. And here's the spot where this video tutorial will go when I'm done. So just show you to the bottom of this page. In the About page, we have information about me. I may or may not add an intro video here. We'll see. I also may or may not change that author picture. My dad put a filter on that picture, made it look real nice, but there's something I like about the idea of a picture just being me, completely unedited me. Here's the button you have to visit my YouTube channel. Stories that I wrote, one that I wrote when I was 12 or 13. Very important in my growth as an author, but not very good, to be honest. Videos of me wrestling, as well as an article that I wrote about athletics freshman year. Focus with a special focus on wrestling, but mostly athletics in general in a way. A few songs that I wrote. The link to the Support This Project page. This is not yet connected to Stripe, so it cannot yet accept payments, but I will connect it to Stripe very soon, and then it will be able to accept any donations that you all give me. Okay, click on the dashboard, go to your dashboard. Here's your stories page. As you can see here, there is an image here because I have added a cover. Covers are a big fun thing for stories. Let's add a cover here. Who cares? I was using this one to make a presentation. Now it's the cover of The Whispering Woods. Here's your button to add a new story if you want. If you add a new story, it will show up in this grid view, which you can scroll through. You would be able to if there was enough stories for you to scroll. Okay, let's open up. Here you have the button where you can either delete your story if you're a weirdo or manage access. This story is private. Only people who have been given access can view it. You can share it with people by searching through the username or email among all those who have accounts on Progressions. Currently, I'm not going to change access at all. Let's open up The Whispering Woods. Here we have our cover. Little white edges because the picture that I picked wasn't the perfect size, but that doesn't really matter. We have the total word count here. The total word count adds up all the words in the sort of scene writing area, not the description, but the actual scene writing area for all progression notes and scenes. So here we have our cover, title up here. Go down, if we just go here, if it will only just allow me to move down real quick. Right, I was trying to move down like a silly pants. There's not much to move down on here. Here's the mood board. Mood boards are part of all characters, character notes, locations, notes, progressions, scenes. This is anywhere where you can put, I guess you can see when you click add media, you can add audio files, you can add visual, you can add images, you can add links, for example, to articles. If you're writing a scene where forensic knowledge is needed, you can link to an article or a website that explains forensics. Let's open up our characters. Here is one character that we have. Let's say we want to add a character. Here's the button to add anything, to add a location, to add a scene. It's up here, it adds it in the grid view. It does not immediately open it. Here we have the button to delete the thing if you want to get rid of it, like a meanie. Here's the characters page. This page tells which progressions affect them. We'll get into that when we get into progressions. The scenes they appear in. Characters have a cover image as well, a description, and a mood board. You can open the character notes. These are notes on the back. You can put notes on the background, details, what their relationships with their friends are. Since characters are so complicated, I separated it up into specific notes about certain aspects of them, rather than just the description of the character overall. In case you want to get into big depth, click here, return to characters, and then return to story. Here you are back in the main page of the story. Click open locations. Locations are just this run-of-the-mill image, description, mood board. The only reason this exists as its own section, it doesn't function differently from any other section. It's just specific. It just exists to be labeled locations, so that specifically for locations, you can go there and note about locations. Here are notes about any random aspect of your story. Functionally, the same as a location page. It's just that the notes page is dedicated to any random notes you have that don't fit anywhere else. Locations is specifically for areas. Although they do function in terms of scenes. For example, scenes, as you can see when we open up the scenes page. Let's go to new scene. It will say new location. You can set the characters, the location that the scene is set in, characters that are in the scene, and the notes, the progression notes that are aligned with it in the storyline page. We'll get into that when we get to the storyline. Here's the scene content where you can type out the actual scene. The description is where you plan the scene, where you describe the scene. The scene content, here you type out the actual scene. It tracks your word count, adds it to the story's main word count. Now, return to scenes, return to story. Let's open up our progressions. If you've read the document about the philosophy and how this whole plotting system came to be, you'll know all about what progressions are used for in terms of the story. So here I'll just show you how they work in terms of the website. You have your cover. You have the characters that are affected mainly by the progression. The ones that are up front and center taking part in it. The description, this how you that's point A and point B. The progression line is just a line with circles on it, just to have it represented visually. There are sliders. This one does not show any sliders because it's not long enough yet. There's only one note in it. It's not long enough yet to need any. But while there is a button up here to open progression notes, here, if you click on the circle, if you hover your cursor over it, and this works in the storyline as well, you'll find that a rectangle hovers above it with the title of that particular progression note. So, if we click on this circle, it will open up the page of the progression note. So, just experienced momentary difficulty. If you click on the circle, it will take you to the page of the progression note. And as you can see, it says under storyline alignment, this note occurs between scenes. This will be explained when we get to the storyline. In the description, you simply describe what happens in the scene. Here you can write out the scene. The description, you describe what happens in... It's not quite a scene exactly. You'll see what happens and what this means in the philosophy document. I highly recommend you read that. This describes, though, sort of how this is part of a scene, or as you can see where we have scene content, its own miniature scene, from the perspective of this particular progression of the story. Scene content, you only write out if it is not part of a greater scene aligned with that scene in the storyline. So if we return to our progression notes, return to our progression, return to progressions generally, and return to the story. And now from here, I should probably point out the fact that text becomes a URL. If you type the exact text of the title of a character, character note, location, note, progression note, scene, or scene, it becomes a clickable link to that page. As you can see, it triggers the sign-in page for me because I'm viewing this in the Base 44 app. Very, very advanced app. I highly recommend you try it out, even just for fun. Now let's open up a very important page, the storyline page. Here we have the main storyline. As you can see, we have 2 scenes in the main storyline, and beneath it we have any and all progressions that are part of the story. Here we only have 1 progression, and it only has 1 note. As you can see here, scenes and progression notes both can be moved around. It is a little sticky with the movement that may be fixed, but as you can see, you can move it around. So let's say this scene is here. Here's where the first overall broader scene of the story happens. And then a little bit after that, as its own scene, half step across is the progression note. Usually you'll have scenes lined up like this, and just one after the other. And usually you'll have progression notes as part of a scene. Sometimes they can be their own little miniature, quote-unquote, scene of the story, and that's where you have them in a half step in between. For example, if you have another note here for this progression happening in the middle of scene 1, and then one happens between scene 1 and scene 2, you'll have a note here. And then you can skip. For example, there might not be a note for this progression in scene 2. There might be for like the 3 down here and then not the one beneath it. If you were to have more progressions, you can add as many as you want. And then like 3 scenes later, you have another note for this progression. As you can see, they can go down very far. If I go here, you can see there's plus and a minus button. Minus button makes the line of the progression shorter. Although in this case, since it's already at a certain length, it doesn't really get shorter from here. And here you can add to the length of a line. Although that may only work when the line is filled up. Yes, as you can see, I've just added a bunch to these lines. So now these lines are a few spaces longer than they were before. You cannot really make a line shorter than the rest of the lines, but you probably shouldn't need to. The boxes. Here are the title boxes. They show the title. This is the main storyline. Its title never changes. The progression, if you go to the progressions page and change its title, then that change will show up here. You can swap positions. You can move them up and down, however you want to represent them visually. Let's move this here to align this progression note with this scene. Okay, now they're aligned. Let's return to our story. Open up our scenes. Open up this scene. Will say so on the scenes page. Don't you worry yourself. But here we have in storyline alignment, it responds to, like on the page of the progression note, as you can see, it responds to the fact that now in the storyline, this note is aligned with a certain scene. That is used to signify the fact that they happen at the same time. So return to our progression, return to progressions, return to story. And here we've gone through every page of the story. Return to dashboard where we can see our stories. And if we open up our scenes page, I wanted to leave this little bit for last because it's a very important part. And you open up a scene. There is a share button. You can change the access of the scene. Here is a link. You can share it on X, formerly Twitter, and share it on Facebook, or just share it anywhere using this link. Set the access to public so that anyone with the link can view it, or private. Only those with access can view this scene. As you can see, to get a good close-up on this, after you've clicked the share button right next to the title, you can have your access as private. Only people with story access can view. Only people who you have shared the actual story overall to can view this scene. Or public, which allows you to share the scene itself. You can share it on X, weird name for Twitter, but or on Facebook. You can simply just copy this link here. Or you can, and yeah, that's basically how you can share a scene. Why would you want to share a scene rather than simply sharing the text? Because the scene has a mood board. And having a mood board like this, if I decide that this picture of a banjo really exemplifies the spirit of this scene, then I can simply put it here, and I can delete it if I don't want with this little button here. And then as people read this scene, They can see these pictures, hear any audio files you add, go to any links that you add, and essentially get more of a sense for the spirit of this scene. Get more of a sense for what you as the author are thinking as you write it, and for what it means to you. So this is one of the features that makes this app very useful for those who share their writing with others. Hi, Moshe Davidovich here, and there you have it. The entire progressions plotting system outlined completely. If you have any questions about how this system works, send me an email at mo.davidovich@gmail.com, mo.davidovich295@gmail.com, or bloquedelosescritores@gmail.com. That was Spanish. BLOQUEDELOSESCRITORES@gmail.com. This app is aimed at any writer trying to write any kind of story, technically, but especially those aimed at writing longer stories, novellas, novels, something you really seriously plot out, put a lot of detail into. Those who collaborate on their writing and those who share their writing with others will especially get a lot of value out of this product. But even those writing on their own, those writing professionally, those writing not professionally, those simply in search of a new tool to help take the disparate ideas in their head that they keep vomiting into a Google Doc and just put them in their little places with their little notes, with their little mood boards, and have everything just where it needs to be. And at this point, I'd say I've talked at you enough. Go away now, and I am mildly interested to see what you create next.